Great morning, holy brothers and sisters, for the 21st of CHESHVAN in the Kitzur Likutei Moharan. Today's lesson is called Random Rulers. Sometimes there exists a lack in the world in that people's faith is not completely intact, even though a certain amount of faith does exist. Consequently, God's anger, God forbid, and the hiddenness of His countenance are not so readily recognizable, since the lack of faith is only very slight. Only when the lack of faith trickles down and reaches the tzaddikim, the latter hide their faces from the world and do not want to lead it. But since God's anger is then very minimal, only lasting for a split second, the tzaddikim do not attribute the fact that they are hiding their faces to this rage. Instead, they attribute it to their own insignificance, saying they are not fit to lead the world. The truth is that they do not know about or sense this infinitesimal trace of anger either. But when rage and divine anger are tempered by compassion, then the divine anger that exists for the tzaddikim is mitigated by compassion. Consequently, compassion prevails upon them, and they take pity on the world. They are willing to lead, and the world merits a true leader who will lead them with compassion. When idolatry and atheism exist in the world, divine anger prevails in the world, as our sage of blessed memory said, and this consists of the hiding of God's countenance. But when there is not actual idolatry and atheism, but only imperfect faith, then the divine anger and the hiddenness of God's countenance are not so readily recognizable. Nevertheless, when this anger trickles down and comes to the tzaddikim, they consequently hide themselves. Hashem is happiest when we show our emunah and faith in Him through compassion. By undoing anger with compassion, a person thereby merits faith, and harsh judgments are mitigated. Conversely, when a person's faith is intact, he thereby merits compassion and can break his anger. Faith gives real meaning and understanding, which helps us tremendously. Compassionate minds and actions help us to see the goodness in all things and brings us greater to faith. A person must not accept a position of leadership and authority unless his faith is absolutely perfect and flawless, for the quality most essential for leadership is compassion, and compassion primarily depends upon the removal of idolatry. Even if such a person possesses a mere trace of idolatry, and he believes in its being some kind of omen, if a deer stopped him on the road, see Shulchan Aruch Yoredea 179.3, or in any other thing which may be termed the ways of the Amorites, i.e. superstition, even if he also believes in God, his compassion is incomplete and he must not accept a position of leadership. Even if he thinks that he has compassion on the world and that is why he wishes to lead it, in truth, he is actually pursuing honor and merely attributing it to his compassion. Such a leader can bring people to heresy and atheism, God forbid, but heaven shows compassion and does not allow him to retain his position of leadership. Don't attribute happenings to randomness, nor give power to things which have none. Remember, Ein od milvado, there is nothing other than Him. Through love of the sages, kingship and leadership are firmly established. Conversely, when a king or leader feels hatred for the sages, you can be certain that heaven is going to depose him from his kingship, for without wisdom, the world cannot continue to exist. We must be smart and learn to apply everything properly. Through faith, the letters and speech attain their perfection. The more we believe, the more we perfect our words with wonderment, wholeness, and completeness. As always, thank you so much for learning together. If you enjoyed this lesson, please remember to like, comment, share, and borrow. And please God, we'll learn again tomorrow.